Hi, it's John. Welcome to my channel EV Intuition, where I'm helping you understand about electric vehicles. Well, over the last couple of weeks, the biggest buzz in the electric vehicle world has been Tesla's announcement of an update to their Model Y vehicle. Now, why is that a big thing? Well, the Tesla Model Y, which originated in 2020, is the best-selling electric vehicle by far in the United States. So this is a very popular vehicle, and it's won the hearts of many people, including myself, and it's going through its first major update. What I want to do is share with you many of the updates that are coming with it. It's not on the road here yet, but it's available for order online, and I want to share with you my thoughts on the updates that are coming. So let's get started. Before I begin, I'd like to remind you that if you like the content of my videos, please subscribe and give me a like. If you have any comments, please send them also. Today we're talking about the Tesla's Model Y update, the 2025 update to the most popular car in the electric vehicle in the United States. So when I'm thinking about what's the best way to describe this vehicle, I broke it down into 5 categories that I want to break updates into. And so those 5 categories are the exterior, interior, ride, range and charging, and other features. Those are the areas that I want to break the updates into. Now, keep in mind that the Tesla Model Y is actually coming out, the new Tesla Model Y is coming out in only what they refer to as the launch version. And essentially, it's a long-range version of the Tesla Model Y, which typically has and is available today in the older version in 3 flavors. One being the rear-wheel drive, the other being the long range, and the other being the performance. So the launch edition is just coming out as a long-range edition of this. When I do some talks and comparisons, we'll talk about how this Model Y compares to the previous long-range version. The first area that I wanted to talk about is the exterior changes. That's one of the things you're going to notice right off the bat with this vehicle is the changes in styling of this vehicle. And there are quite a few. I mean, it definitely looks a lot different. The biggest thing that I look at it looks more aerodynamic, and from Tesla's own specs, it indicates that this is more aerodynamic than the previous versions. They redesigned also some of the parts to make them have less total parts, which means fewer gaps, and that improves, I guess, airflow over that vehicle. And they've even improved the wheel and tire efficiency of this vehicle. The next thing you'll see is the styling. The styling, if you look at the front, has now a new narrower, sleek headlights with a light bar going across. Sort of on the same line of the Cybertruck, but not to that extent. The front bumper looks a little different shaped. It looks pretty nice. I actually like the styling of that. You got to remember, I originally had the Ford Mach-E as my vehicle. When I went from the Ford Mach-E to the Tesla Model Y in 2023, I felt that one of the things that I was giving up was styling. I did like the Ford Mach-E exterior styling a lot better than the Tesla Model Y, though it wasn't bad. Tesla's done a very good job of updating the styling. Now, of course, that's an aesthetic thing, and everybody's got a different feel on that. They also did the same thing in the rear of the vehicle. They've got another light bar going across it, and this one's like a reflective light bar. So it's kind of unique in look and styling. They've also moved the license plate, which they used to put right on the hatch, now into the lower bumper, which I think is a good thing. It gives the car a little more nicer look, I think, from that point of view. Now, the other thing about the exterior is that the trunk now has the capability of being open with a hands-free operation. This is done via Bluetooth, and as you're approaching the trunk, I guess you just stand by it and it'll pop open if you have your phone with you. So I think that's a handy feature. I know the Ford Mach-E used to have this feature where you just put your foot underneath and kind of swipe it and it would pop open the trunk. And my experience is I didn't have very good experience with the Ford Mach-E open. Sometimes it wouldn't open, other times it would. It'll be interesting to see how the Tesla Model Y works with this automated opening of the trunk upon approach. The other thing that I think is a good update to this vehicle is the front external camera. Now they have cameras on the back of the rear mirror in the front, but in my Tesla Model Y there is no external front camera. And the reason why I think that's a good thing is because when I'm pulling in my garage, I'd like to have a camera telling me how close I am to the front of the garage so that I can pull it in all the way. I've gotten used to estimating it based on other cameras and vision, but I think that's a handy thing to have. The other thing is they've streamlined the side mirrors, so you'll notice the mirrors have a little different contour and shape to them. Supposedly those are more aerodynamic and contributes to the improved aerodynamics of the vehicle. So that's what you pretty much see in the external of the vehicle. Like I say, in general, I like all these changes. I think they're very good. I think they make the car look much sleeker and cool looking. So let's move on now to the interior of the vehicle. There are a bunch of improvements here in the interior of the vehicle. And I think one of the big ones is the front ventilated seats. Now, in my Tesla and all Teslas, you have heated seats in front and rear. And I think that's a wonderful thing, especially this time of year. We're in the midst of winter and it's been a cold winter. I love heated seats. But what they're adding to just the front seats here is ventilated seats. So while you're in the summertime, you can get some cool air coming out of the seats. And I've been in other vehicles that have had this, and I think it's kind of a neat feature. That's making the Tesla Model Y much better from an experience point of view. Now, the other thing that you'll notice in the interior of the new Model Y is that the texture of the materials used is just much higher quality. It looks like more of a luxury car than the previous one, which looked kind of bare bones, a lot of simulated plastic, and so materials definitely are much higher quality. The other thing that you'll notice is that you're going to see the accent lighting throughout. Now I have some accent lighting, but it's only at the lower parts of the front doors. You don't see many. They've extended this throughout the cabin. From a functional point of view, it's not a big thing. It does look nice from what I've seen in pictures. The other thing that I think is also a big addition is the addition of a rear touchscreen for the back passengers. So the back passengers can use that touchscreen to adjust climate, can see the same thing that's on the front screen, or watch some entertainment. It's an 8-inch screen. It's not a big screen, but hey, it adds to the vehicle's functionality. So I like that. The other thing is that now you can use a power button to recline the back row seats, the second row seats. It's manual in mine today. Not a big deal, but it is nicer having a button that you can press to raise and lower those seats. The other thing that you can do now is you can also use power to activate the back vents in the vehicle. Now, previously it was all manually done, but now you've got power control of the vents. The other addition from a sound point of view, as far as like audio system goes, they've added a few speakers. Now the speakers are kind of hidden throughout. That's another thing they kind of do. And they've done a nice job of kind of hiding the speakers throughout. But now you have 15 speakers in one subwoofer versus my vehicle, which had 13 in one. It's definitely a slight improvement, but once again, it's making the car a better functional vehicle. And the other thing that is a very good addition to the interior is that the glass roof now has metallic infrared reflective coating. Now, what's that going to do for the vehicle? In the summertime, it could get very warm when the sun is baking and in full view of that top glass on the Model Y. It would get pretty warm in that vehicle. Well, this additional coating now will reflect a lot of that infrared and heat that sun is bearing down on the car. So it helps the whole interior from a comfort point of view, and it saves the car from working as hard with its air conditioning system. So once again, The interior improvements, I think, are large in number, and I really do like the suite of these improvements that they've made. Let's move on to now a pretty important part of the vehicle, and that's the ride. So what's the changes to your feel of the road in this new Tesla Model Y? Well, the good news is it's getting quieter. And I think that's a nice thing, because I would say, that's one thing that I hear a lot of. You definitely hear road noise, wind noise, and Tesla has reduced both of these, the wind and the road noise that you hear, by over 20% each. So what you're going to get is a nice, quieter ride. So I can't wait to experience that. I'd like to get in one of these new Model Ys when they're available and just kind of see how well they've done here. But clearly, if what they say is true, or over 20%, I think you'll have a noticeable difference in the quietness of your ride. The other thing is they've improved the suspension for a softer ride. Now, Tesla, when it originally came out in 2020, actually had a very stiff suspension, and that was one of the things that a lot of people complained about. I think they made some updates prior to my vehicle, which was a 2023 version. And so I've always said, well, that ride it's definitely stiff, but I've been in other vehicles that have stiffer rides, so I wasn't too bothered by it. But it's nice to hear that Tesla is now even making that a much softer ride. So can't wait to experience that also. The other thing that you'll see, they've increased the acceleration of this vehicle, the pickup. This once again, we're comparing long range versus long range here, and 0 to 60 drops from 4.8 seconds to 4.1. To me, that's kind of a minor thing. I think with my vehicle with 4.8 gives me plenty of pickup, plenty of acceleration, but now you're going to get even more with this latest version of the Tesla Model Y. So now let's move on to another area, which I created this category because it's one, I think, for electric vehicles, it's an important area. What's the range and how well does it charge? Both AC and DC fast charging. I'd like to know what did Tesla do in these areas? Well, from a range perspective, it looks like there's a very minor or modest increase in range. The current long-range Tesla Model Y is listed EPA-wise as 311 miles, and it's now going to be bumped up to 320. So that's very minor in my opinion. And I guess what they're doing is they're getting all these improvements just based on aerodynamics, from the car's aerodynamic improvements to the tires. That's all making for some improved range with the vehicle. So that's great, but still minor. The other thing is, well, what did they do with charging? And the answer is nothing. Now, that's a big disappointment for a lot of people. When the Tesla Model Y came out in 2020, it was probably towards the top leader of charging. And when I'm talking about charging, I'm talking both DC fast charging, because it charges up to 250 kilowatts, and on the AC slow chargers, you can charge up to 11 kilowatt. So it's pretty, when it came out, it was like one of the top vehicles for those two things. And they didn't make any changes to it. And other vehicles have come along and have better performing DC fast charging than the Model Y. You got to keep in mind that 250 kilowatts is just the maximum. It goes rapidly down from there, and you really got to look at the 10 to 80 time for the Tesla Model Y. And some vehicle manufacturers are doing that in 20 minutes or less, whereas Tesla Model Y is still around 30. Some people are disappointed in this. Is this a big thing for me? No, but you wonder why they couldn't at least made some improvements here. So the AC charging remains the same also. So which I think is sufficient from an AC point of view. You can charge up to 50 amps, and it works very well. Let's now get into the last category. It's this kind of category of other things that I think that are worth noting in this Tesla Model Y. And the one thing that to me stands out is better connectivity and communication. First of all, they improved the quality of your phone calls. So they've added some better microphones there. So when you're talking to somebody, I do hands-free talking all the time in my vehicle. Having a clear communication with the person you're talking to is going to be a good thing. And so that's what they're advertising. The other thing is that the Wi-Fi and the cellular connectivity is improved. So they got better range and better communication there. That's a welcome improvement. And also they've improved the Bluetooth capability, which is what your phone uses a lot of time to, as you're walking up to the vehicle and it unlocks the vehicle, or as you're leaving the vehicle, locks your vehicle. So Bluetooth is an important feature of that, and it's also used internally for if you wanted to stream some things from apps that you have on your phone to the car's audio system. All that's welcome. Seems like these are minor things, but they're certainly good things to have. And the last area I put in here, I already mentioned about the front external camera, but the Ford Mach-E had a front camera. And one of the things that clearly happens a lot, especially in this time of year when we're in the middle of winter and there's a lot of slush and road spray happening, the camera would always get dirty. And you'd be constantly leaving the car and you'd have to take your hand and kind of wipe it off so that camera would be cleared. But Tesla put a little washer in with that camera also, which I think is a great feature, because that, no doubt, that camera is going to get a lot of road spray, and having a little washer in front of that, I'm hoping will make that less of a inconvenience when you're driving around and you can't see out that camera when you're pulling into a parking spot. Once again, another neat feature. So in total, I think Tesla did a great job. If you take any one of their improvements by itself, it's pretty minor. But if you look at all the improvements that Tesla's making to the Model Y, the top selling electric vehicle in the United States, I think it's a winner. I think people are going to like it. Now, one of the things they did is in the launch version, they bundled full self-driving with it. Now, that's something that some people don't like, and including myself. Like if I were looking for a Tesla Model Y, I've tested the front full self-driving. I think it's amazing, but I like the control of the vehicle. I don't like the vehicle controlling and deciding when to turn. So that's a personal thing. So for me, it's not worth the additional cost of the vehicle. But Tesla's bundling FSD, full self-driving, in also with the tow hitch. Now I got a tow hitch for mine, so I don't think that's a big thing. It's coming in 4 colors, gray, white, red, and silver, and you can get any of those. And you could get black or white interiors, though I think the white is now sold out. A lot of people love the white interior of the Teslas. But the total price for that launch vehicle, excluding rebates from state and federal, which you should be still eligible for, is $60,000, which is kind of steep in my opinion. I bought my vehicle, my Tesla Model Y, in 2023 for around $50,000, excluding all those things. So FSD is the big chunk of that. You're going to get FSD if you want to be one of the first owners of the new Tesla Model Y. Clearly, this is just a launch version. I don't know how long Tesla will keep it out, but if you want to be one of the first owners, you're going to have to pay for that. And is it worth it? Hopefully it is if you're one of those buyers, because it's probably going to be at least $10,000 more than future versions is my take on it. Anyway, I hope you learned a little more about the Tesla's new Model Y, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.